News Report.
Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
So while the legislature in Columbus, Ohio is losing their mind over masks and the SB 2022 bill, the senator from Ohio, Sherrod Brown, was taking Rand Paul to task for not wearing his mask on the Senate floor. And look, this is what you need to do. We need to be calling these people out and doing it in the most public way possible, which is why I'm hoping the good people of Ohio call out their legislators in the most public way possible. And next election time around, throw some of the bums out. Anyway, here to share some thoughts on, well, the craziness that's going on over there and maybe how we move forward. I've asked David Pepper to come talk with us. David's the former chairman of the Ohio Democratic Party. David, thanks for taking time for us.
No problem. Good to be with you again.
So, I'm looking at, Sherrod Brown, who I absolutely love. If we could carbon copy him a couple more times, we could use a couple more of those in the Senate. I would love to see that in Ohio, but good on him for going after Rand Paul today.
Yeah, it's he's done it before. He did it about a month ago too, and I'm glad he did that. It's easy to just sit and watch these guys do it. And Sherrod's point will always be he's endangering not just other senators but the staff. And good for him. I agree. It needs to be called out. We had a state senator in Ohio yesterday walk out of a hearing because they were literally on the Republican side. They're not wearing masks. They have people coming in without masks. This senator said, listen, I have a daughter who's higher risk. I'm not going to get her infected because of you guys. He left, and that they had a whole thing planned for yesterday. That was the story. He walked out and said, I'm not being part of this. So between Sherrod and him, and here's the thing. It's like a lot of other things around COVID relief. 70-80% of the people agree with us. Not everyone wears a mask whenever they should, but most people get it at this point. And to have, and I think, and most people, when they walk into, wherever they walk into and someone doesn't have a mask on, they're thinking about it too. So I think Sherrod and the senator here, Cecil Thomas, I think are channeling a lot of people when they do that.
Yeah, I mean,
here's the point. I mean, we're almost there. If you haven't gotten a vaccine yet, you're weeks or months away. Why in the world do we want to continue to take risks with other people's lives when we're getting close?
Yeah.
And that's why it's also so frustrating.
No, and again, it's another reason I think we need smart people in elected office. We used to have, at least I like to believe, we used to have at least, the best and brightest who stepped forward and were our leaders. Or maybe it's just I like to idealize the past.
Right.
But we've got people now to where it's really, I mean, I look at this woman who, this Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm going, what in the hell is this woman doing in Congress?
Yeah. No, excuse me, I have the same. I go back, and I don't want to idealize it. There's always been deep issues. But, when I was young, you'd watch like 3 morning shows on a Sunday, and they'd have Warren Rudman on or Tim. They had all these guys. Everyone seemed kind of calm, somewhat normal. You might not agree with them. And now it's like, and I as a kid would have thought, yeah, you actually have to be somewhat impressive to be a member of Congress. I mean, that would have been my mindset. And now you obviously don't. You can have all sorts of crazy ideas. You can run on the crazy ideas. And especially in a world of gerrymandering, you can win.
Yeah.
And I do think, it's a wake-up call. But I saw someone's tweet, well, if only we improve the quality. Improving the quality will take massive reform around gerrymandering, around big money. This is happening not because some random district picked a goofy person. It's because the whole structure of politics is so broken that all the incentives are leading to Jim Jordan or this woman from Georgia or the woman from Colorado. It's literally tilting the field in favor of crazy, unqualified people versus others. And it's going to take real reform. And 22 is one example. If we can get districts more fair in places like Ohio, you can get it. You can hope to get some new people who are better, but this is a result of years of decay, and also, State House is having the same problems. It's not just Jim Jordan started the State House, And it's sort of like the whole system is gearing more and more towards folks like this. And if you're a young person and this is all you've seen and you're kind of normal, do you want to get into this business? Or would you rather go be part of the digital economy? I mean, so one thing I think we all forget is the 20-somethings, all they've ever seen is this. They were 12 years old and people were questioning the citizenship of their president because of the color of his skin. Like, that's what they grew up seeing. So the way you and I think, well, there was a time it wasn't this crazy, for these young people, there wasn't.
No,
and I think
crazy.
That's also a real worry. There's a generation that's grown up with the craziest politics we've ever seen.
No, you're right. And it's one of the, I had a conversation with a 20-something the other day. And I think he said he was 23. And I said, the sad reality is Ronald Reagan wouldn't be recognized in the Republican Party today. And he laughed at me. He goes, "You don't know what you're talking about. Ronald Reagan," because he'd heard all the sainted stuff. I'm going, no, Reagan, gave amnesty to 3 million, quote unquote, illegals. He did that. He didn't do all of the crazy stuff that you're seeing now. He would not get elected today. And this kid just seemed to, this is, because he seems to think, to your point, that they were just as crazy back then.
Yeah, no, I think and I worry that unless, and again, we've talked about this before, Joe Biden has a critical role to play. And I think some Democrats may get frustrated that he had that meeting with those Republicans, although I don't think it did anything with Republicans. I think part of what he's trying to do is say, actually, there is a way to try and do it. And for that kid you talked to, he's probably never seen a meeting like that because it just hasn't happened. So I think we don't have a long time to get future generations to see that there can be a different way than what we've just been going through.
No, and I think Biden's doing a fantastic
another guy
job.
who was awesome today, Steny Hoyer. Did you see his speech today?
I did not.
Oh, it was phenomenal. And again, it was the same type of trying to push back against the craziest moments so that, we can get it a little more centered than it's been.
Yeah. Let me ask you what your thoughts on today's vote was. It was very predictable. I was actually surprised. 11 Republicans voted with the Democrats to remove this Marjorie Taylor Greene from the education and the labor committees. I've taken the position, and I've told you that I thought it was a dumb exercise. They should have let the Republicans wear her. But I'm curious your thoughts. I mean, do you think this helps move that to a place where we're not as crazy?
It establishes some boundaries, which I think isn't a bad thing. At some point, calling the question, I think, does, every single Ohio Republican voted with her. In some places, that's a bad, Steve Chabot in suburban Cincinnati, that's a bad vote for him. It's not going to hurt Jim Jordan where his district is. But I was saying before we started, I think there's sort of a double thing going on right now. The more and pointing out the extremism is important, and I think generally politically going to help Democrats. But I think the far bigger important thing right now is that Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi learn the lesson of 08 and 09 and 10. Don't wait. Don't sit around and hope that some Republican votes for it so you wait a year and waste all that time. Move forward. And they've got 70% of the country with them.
Right.
And I think the worst vote for the Republicans, and that's a bad vote, but not one single Republican looks like they're going to vote for COVID relief when it's a 70% issue. That's a really bad vote. And I think for most people, some people will, my siblings aren't that political. They'll watch that thing in DC today. They'll think she's bad, but are they really paying attention to that? Not as much. But people want COVID relief, and the fact that Democrats are working really hard to get it through as quickly as they can, and not one Republican will vote for it. I think that's actually the more damaging when it comes to people's lives and what they care about right now, whether it be jobs or whether it be staying alive. I think that effort at the higher level, the Biden level, is actually the even bigger political win right now. And I think a lot of the focus should continue to be on that.
But it's not. I mean, my point, you've just made my point for me, because the last 4 days, what have we been talking about? The crazy woman with the Jewish space lasers.
Yeah, if you're going to pick one message, it's that you were getting something done finally on COVID relief. People getting this money in their pockets, a big deal. It's hugely popular. It was the promise made in Georgia. So yeah, I think with the vote today, hopefully it's time to really talk about the big relief package, which is so popular.
But that's
And
not
it's
going
a
to happen. Come
terrible
Monday,
vote.
what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about impeachment, and we're going to be talking about that for time. And this is why, again, my problem is look, you go play these games. The American people, and using your words, they want to know what the hell you're getting done. They want to know when this relief's coming because they need it. We've got families that are struggling, and all it looks like the optics. And while people who are political like us like to pay attention to this stuff, most people aren't, as you've said. All they want to know is, how are you going to get things done? How are you going to help me?
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I'm a big believer politics aside, given what happened on January 6th, they have no choice.
I agree.
But I agree that Joe Biden would have said a month ago, I would rather not start off my term dealing with impeachment. I want to do this other stuff. The precedent here is so important. I don't think they can help it, and they need to see it through. Right. But yeah, I mean, I think the big win, it's like, why do we win in 18? We won in 18 because of healthcare. Well, the ability to get things done during the pandemic, and then big things like jobs, infrastructure. We talked about it, some of the labor, good jobs, lifting wages stuff. That stuff's going to be how you potentially build up to a successful 22 and not a bad 22. It's that day-to-day kitchen table stuff that in the end I think is the bigger impact stuff.
Yeah, I don't fanboy over politicians, but I'll tell you, I'm really happy with so far with Joe Biden, what he's done. The fact that he came out, and some of the things he's done with the NLRB and in the Labor Department. The fact that he's come out and he's kind of putting Putin in his place, saying diplomacy is back. There's the new sheriff in town. The fact that he has done things and done it as a matter of course, and they're not being this Twitter constant messaging stuff going on. The fact that the guy's showing up every day, he's doing his job and he's doing a damn good job.
I agree. I mean, I think they learned the lessons of Obama, where they worked too hard to get, Chuck Grassley's vote on healthcare. Right now it's so universally popular. If this party on the other side is so extreme that they're not going to go along with it, just move on and move on quick because there's too much to do. No, I agree. I mean, it's the right tone. He puts out an olive branch. They reject it. So he moves forward. I agree. I think it's very smart. And I do think one of there were some major things left on the table by the Obama administration on labor issues. And, after it happened, what a regret, especially early when we had Democrats in the Senate, the House, and the White House, and we didn't go for it. And when you see, it's not just political, it's the income inequality. If we don't have the constant fight to lift wages and to have more collective bargaining that's protected, if we don't grab hold of those opportunities when we have all three things, like we know what happens when they have them. They put all the worst people in NLRB. They do right to work everywhere. So you can't let the time waste and not do these things because it's only every once in a while that you have the ability to do it. So yeah, I totally agree. This is when you go for it. And I think that governors a decade ago, Democratic governors, and even the Obama administration did not see through some of these things. I think labor was frustrated. I was even more frustrated once Trump got in there because when they get in there, they don't mess around. Yep. They go for the jugular, and we left a lot undone the last time.
No, they know how to drive the steamroller. We just run over our foot. And an example of that is, Kentucky gets the governor's mansion. Republicans control everything. The first possible moment, they woke people up at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning to push through their right to work law. Virginia and Nevada, they controlled all of that. They're still right to work on the books. So for me, again, you're so spot on, which is why I said I'm thrilled with what Biden is doing. But how do you see? You're somebody who's been doing this a while, because I want to make sure people are focused on the right stuff. When this impeachment stuff comes out, this is where the media is going to be. But the real fight is over this rescue package. And my fear is you've got someone like Joe Manchin, who now is teaming up with Susan Collins, saying we need to limit the stimulus to people making under $50,000. It's like we're already bargaining with the devil, and it's going to come out. It's going to come out less than it should be, and I think it's going to be harmful.
Yeah, I mean, I hope my hope is they're whittling away on a few things. If they limit it if they set a hard cap at a certain high level, if that's the deal, that's fine. But I wouldn't do it if the reason you're doing it is just to get a Republican vote or two. I just think that to reduce it in any substantial way is a mistake because it's so badly needed. I would say that even if the politics were shakier, the good news is the politics are hugely in favor of something robust. But more importantly, I really believe, and this is going to sound really harsh, but it's true. Mitch McConnell, Rob Portman, and others cost thousands of lives last year by doing nothing. This is not just about economic stimulus. It's about giving people the economic security to make decisions to be safe until they get the vaccine. And if you are not coming in with a big enough package, they're going to still be forced to do things, in some cases, go to jobs that don't feel safe. If they can't get unemployment, if they have no money, unlike other countries which said, we care more about you getting healthy than forcing you to just keep food on the table. That's what's at stake here. So going big, it's not just an economic issue. It's about allowing people to survive until they get this vaccine.
Right.
And so it's not, to me, the politics are very good on this, but it's a deeper issue. I really think that Trump was as awful as he was. We all know that. But the second half of last year, McConnell and all the senators who did nothing, they really cost lives in this country because people were, the economy turned back the other way. People were really stressed, and they're going off every day getting infected in places that weren't safe to work.
No, you're absolutely right. My problem with Manchin and this whittling it down a little bit more is you're now dividing us even more, and I think the popularity of it falls because there are people who do make a reasonable living, but they're struggling too. And this is that Hunger Games that the Republicans play so well. Before I let you go, I wanted to get your thoughts because today I got an email announcing that Amy Acton, the former director of the Ohio Department of Health, evidently she's leaving her job, but she wanted to clarify that she's not sure. She may run, she may not run, because obviously Rob Portman is leaving in 22. I see this as she's in, right? Am I reading that right?
I wouldn't. I think it's probably more likely than not, but I wouldn't say for sure. I think she is. I think Tim Ryan is also saying, I'm looking strongly at it. I'll decide in March. So I think they're both likely to do it. I think they're also watching to see what the other one does. We've got a governor's race too. And so I wouldn't say for sure, but obviously when someone leaves their paying job to look at it, that tells you something. I actually think we have a big opportunity. There's a lot of talk in a place like Ohio, our bench isn't strong and their bench is strong. The people showing up to run for Senate in Ohio, Tim Ryan and Amy Acton, are actually both potentially very strong candidates. The Republicans showing up are the current Republican chair who has almost no name ID, and a guy named Josh Mandel, who Sherrod Brown crushed in 2012. He's like a Josh Hawley type, has very high negatives. And the names that people thought might run, like Jim Jordan, who might have actually been formidable because he would have gotten at least the Trump vote out, are saying no. So ironically, their bench doesn't look very good right now. They've got a bunch of gerrymandered congressional members who don't know how to run a real race because all they've done is live in gerrymandering. And right now, I don't know if we'll have a primary or not. Acton has name ID through the roof. She's probably the most known woman in Ohio, maybe the second most known public figure in Ohio after the governor, because she was his health director. Tim Ryan, great candidate, huge talent from Youngstown, can talk the issues we're talking about. On paper, I'd say both of them are better than the Republicans running right now. If you have somewhat of a balanced turnout like we saw in 2018, I think actually there's a chance either one of them might be able to win that race.
Boy, that would be great news. And hopefully some of that will rub off here where I'm at in Pennsylvania. We pick up Toomey's seat with a good Democrat. I'm hoping John Fetterman jumps into the race. Would love to see Lieutenant Governor.
You guys have, frankly, an even better chance there, given how close you've been. So
yeah, that is the hope. But David, I appreciate the time and the thoughts. Come back and talk with us again real soon.
Will do. Take care. I'll see you.
Good stuff. David Pepper, former chair of the Ohio Democratic Party. Going to take a quick break. Right back to wrap things up. Stick around. You're listening to The Rick Smith Show.
saving work in America, one show at a time. The Rick Smith Show.
I'm Rick